You are listening to 105.9 FM The Radiator, WOMMLP Burlington, and now begins Rocket Shop Radio Hour. I'm your host, Abby BK, filling in for Tom Proctor. And tonight on Rocket Shop, we have Coyote Reverie. How are you two doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent.
So good, so good.
Well, welcome to Big Heavy World. It's great to have you. We usually like to kick it off with a song, so what have you got for us?
The first song is called Hereafter. How to slow time, watch the sunrise. Fill your day with many changes. Stay aware when trouble comes face it. You gotta relax, but don't be complacent. No covered material can always replace him. Back to us calling hereafter. I come to sound to find me and you. A mirror held outward, here we are and no. Come to send to find me and you. A mirror held outward, here we are and new. Head down in grace and grain, peaceful post-beauty disdain. Make haste, now waste. What would do mind mad and unbelief like it does? Vigilant confidence, limitless. Omnipotence found in benevolence. We beholden to the cosmic chance, and this moment no other will ever be. No other will ever be. How to stay true, quiet the outside. Find your mind and let it bless too. Feel your heart, the only way through. Live to enjoy, don't lose your love you. Be the light, is all you can do. Back to us calling hereafter. I come to sound to find me and you. A mirror held outward, here we are renewed. Come to send to find me and you. A mirror held outward, here we are, I know. Head down in grace and grain, peaceful post-beauty disdain. Make haste, no waste. What would do mind mad and unbelief like it does?
All right, that was Hereafter by Coyote Reverie, a great way to kick off the start of the show. So tell us, how did Coyote Reverie come to be? How did you two meet and start collaborating with one another musically?
All right, so I was visiting Vermont. Some friends of mine, I really have affinity for southern Vermont, so I was there visiting, and my friend Jesse stopped by, and my friend said, "Hey, that guy does music." And then he said to him, Meadow does music, you guys should do something together. So a few months went by, it was in the back of our minds, and then finally we started sending music. We only had seen each other, but we sent music to each other on the internet. And then we kind of worked on our own parts of the songs at our own spaces, and then it kind of came together.
Wow.
Yeah, we never actually even like spent more than a few minutes talking to each other physically before we started sending things back and forth, and made most of the album really without ever even being in the same room together, and till the end of it when we did the final mixing and mastering. And yeah, it was kind of a strange way to, I've never done anything quite like that, but it was really cool to kind of get to know someone mentally first, and just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. So, in terms of how you both contribute to creating music, does one person focus more? Obviously, you're a producer. You kind of introduce yourself as a singer-songwriter, at least in your bio. Is there sort of like elements to the songs that one person contributes more than the other, or do you both really collaborate on everything together?
It starts out with like the beats, the sort of bed of the song, which Jesse would send to me. And then and a lot of times it would have maybe a verse of his on there, because he's also a writer and a word sayer. And then I would fill in where there were kind of spaces, and then if there weren't any spaces, I was just doodling, doing whatever. I kind of got it down to what I wanted as far as the production of the vocals on my end, as far as layering harmonies, and then I would send those tracks to Jesse, and he would cut them up, move them around, keep them the same. Each song was different, so I would say that was my contribution. And then he would send it back, and I would say, I don't like that there, or what about this? What's this sound? You know, kind of like combing through. So we were both kind of combing through, listening.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would just say I don't really have much to add to that, but I just send her the foundations of tracks and whatever work did, and she would send back ideas, and it was really fun. I got to play with different placements and arrangements and be like, what do you think? And I mean, she always sounds good, so it's hard to really mess up, but yeah, it was just kind of a really like organic, natural, just back and forth of see what works and what doesn't, and yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah, that's very special that you can find that, because I feel like that is kind of rare, but it is something also that I feel like during COVID, some people have also had to experience, just because of, certain spaces not being available to collaborate in person as well. So was that sort of part of the equation too? Anything to do with just the pandemic as well, in terms of working just online, sending stuff?
In our case, I don't think it was necessarily the pandemic, just the distance, because I was living a couple hours away. So we were working in that fashion, and then I have my own little kind of rudimentary setup, and he has more of a studio setup at his place. So I think it was just that, and also not knowing each other, maybe feeling comfortable in our own space, being creative in our own kind of bubble, reacting to this external file or something coming our way, So I think it wasn't necessarily because of the pandemic, but for me personally, it was a really important project to be working on, because it felt like it took me away from that pandemic kind of mode, and I was really inspired. So I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was like, ooh, new track coming in, run upstairs with the headphones on, see what's going on. So for me, it was kind of like a remedy, but not necessarily because of the pandemic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say like positive things. It was something to pour energy into during that whole time, and it seemed like it gave me anyway a lot of time to work on it, whereas opposed to it'd take me years to get an album done typically. And this we started, I think I sent you the first thing in November, December,
yeah.
and it was done in January, or July. So for me, that's really fast, but it was just because I had so much time and space to work on it, and that was one positive.
Yeah, for sure. So individually, what are both of your backgrounds with music? How long have you been writing or mixing as well?
I've always been a singer. I have I did a project about 10 years ago that was also like a duo project, so that was my introduction to recording and layering and things like that. And then I kind of sang with various bands along the way. I had a band that was more my own, where I was the main singer, and then there was other sorts of sit-ins and things like that. So I'd say a good solid 10 years of kind of just going with the flow. Something comes my way, I add my voice to it, I jump up on stage, whatever's going on, or having a group. And writing, I've always written since I was like 15. I remember writing by candlelight by window because I lived out of town. I didn't really go out. I just kind of hung out and did a lot of solo activities. And so I've just always been into music in that way. I listened to records and stuff a lot when I was a kid also, and it's just a natural flow. I feel like it's I forgot what I was gonna say. You go.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just been into the kind of the hip hop side of things since I was young, and it's kind of a, I don't know, different thing to be into in rural Vermont, at least when I was growing up. So, but yeah, I had a group, Epidemics, me and like one of my best friends for a long time, who passed away last year. So there was kind of no more of that happening, but just different kind of just buddies and friends of mine that I know put out a bunch of different music. Too many to list really, but put a solo record out last year and did a animated series of videos with it with a pretty talented paper cut animator from Austin, Eric Power. What's up, Eric? I'll send you the link. But yeah, just I don't know, just trying to. I love to write. I love to produce, and it's really cool working with something that's a bit outside of my typical, comfort zone, and it's been a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, this is definitely a different genre for myself as well. So it's fun kind of coming at it without having that background. It's kind of like, this is my reaction to these sounds that I haven't reacted to before. So that was fun, inspiring.
Yeah. So, I mean, from your descriptions, you kind of say like one of you's a singer-songwriter, one of you's the producer, but it seems like you're both awesome, like jack of all trades almost with like your experience. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, one thing I could say is like I've never worked with anyone that it was just like so easy and so natural, like right out of the gates, and like that was a big part of it. It was like just how easy it was and how I don't know. It was just like there was never any like pushback or never any arguments or never any like, and it seems like that's always been my like experience with most of the people I've worked with. There's always like some kind of friction or some kind of thing, and this has just been definitely the easiest process I've ever been involved in. So definitely made me just want to keep going and going and going, and next thing you know, there's an album worth of songs or more, and yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask too, because obviously like the whole feel of being in a band is very different than what you're doing now in terms of collaborating and making music. So do you have anything more to say kind of just on in terms of like how that's different and maybe why you prefer this method more?
Well, I wouldn't say I prefer this method more. I think it's just different because I actually love being on stage with a band, a full band, and just kind of like it's improv, it's crazy, it's fun, and I can sing. I kind of have different voices, so with the band, it's like like a more of a belter kind of thing, and I like this is more of a introspective, like personal, and you can be more nuanced with your voice, and the voice is more of its own instrument. Highlighted as well. So I would say the process has been different also in writing songs because it's less like how can I have a few words that sound awesome when I'm like belting to what is this intricate thing I can describe and move my voice around and add to the texture of that description. So
Yeah, being able to do multiple genres.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So who would you say are some of your biggest inspirations, either vocally or performance-wise?
Okay. There's so many. I can remember when I was younger, though, I first started listening to Joni Mitchell. My dad told me about her. He was like, do you want to hear the first original whiny girl music? Because I was like growing up in the 90s, And so he played a Joni Mitchell album, and I definitely got really into her. And she has kind of like a higher voice. And then I listened to Bjork and like Tori Amos and like that kind of era of female singers. And then more in the live side of things, I really like Susan Tedeschi. She's super awesome, and I like singing her songs. Makes me feel strong, powerful, and who else live? I don't know. There's a lot of women that I really admire in the current scene too. So.
Yeah. Any particular inspirations for you?
I mean, I grew up. I really gravitated towards things like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, like the conscious, more style of the hip hop music. And I mean, nowadays, I went from that to like the pretty underground stuff, and I'm into, I don't know, I really like listening to like Aesop Rock. Really like Decca, an artist I found.
Ooh, yeah.
I found she liked too. And she doesn't seem to know or like a lot of hip hop music, maybe. But
I just wasn't exposed to it
yeah,
as much.
but
It's
that
not
was
like I don't
one
like it. I like it.
one that we definitely, I don't know, found that we both liked. But yeah, just more conscious, more. I really like to like the words, like the writing of it. So that's what I tend to gravitate towards.
Amazing. Well, how about you play your second song for us?
Cool. The next one is Piranha Gone, and we'll just get right into it.
Yeah.
It's the lion, the witch, and the warship. The penguin is mightier than the swordfish. Each morning hits like a horse kick. Coffee and cigarettes, cancer and hornets. Doomsday delivered straight to your doorstep. It's a dark forest, kid, keep your torch lit. I'm all for it, you're all forfeit. Forked tongue, 2 horns on his forehead.
Sober in the moment we see. Far away the city looks serene, but inside the walls it lives is slowly dying. Veins to earth wither while ancestors sighing. Distracted, syncopated mind flashes. A strobe of media streams in your ether. Holes in your aura, you forget your power. Purpose is feeding inside someone else's dream. Born passive in a body that breathes. Bound together pieces from reality. What is your birthright? Are you your own? Or do you just move the flesh of a machine? The sky is always falling. The future's always coming. Destiny's always calling. That's why I hit the ground running. The sky is always falling. The future's always coming. Destiny's always calling. We need to wake the true self. The one who moves our being. The one whose freedom is the life force.
With just a spool of thread, he navigates the labyrinth. Get the gold, but don't agitate the dragon. You want a life full of Saturdays in satin, keeping genies trapped in your magic lamps, Aladdin. The bad men always kick you when you're down, till the last dark day when they stick you in the ground. When kingdom come, he gon' listen to the sound, while the suicide sword cold glistens in his crown. Look around, the world is a piranha gone. You gotta keep your armor on and your karma strong. Don't plod along when you wander on the Autobahn, or you can join the long forgotten gods in the Parthenon. Thumbs up as they handed us the bandages, like good luck, but he manages the damages and learns to trust the advantages he brandishes to wake the world up before he vanished into amethyst.
Crystalline delirium deceased. Disbelief, thoughts would ever leave. But inside the cells of souls and sense of feeling. Silence is written, a void worth revealing. What's hidden in the question whose answer is forever this, now and no other. Off to discover a surrogate mother for the hope that we'd lost to a tenacious prophecy. Find a passion that fills you fully. That is what makes your reality. You are the only one who always falling. The future's always coming. Destiny's always calling. That's why I hit the ground running. The sky is always falling. The future's always coming. Destiny's always calling. We need to wake the true self, the one who moves our being, the one whose freedom is the life force.
That was Piranha Gone by Coyote, Reverie. So, one thing that I really want to ask about, which I found really intriguing reading about you both, was how this album has been, and you kind of said yourself, Meadow, kind of introspective and all about emotion, and also I believe you kind of worded it in terms of your description as sort of like a journey, personal freedom. Do you kind of want to elaborate on what all of that has been like writing and why you decided to write on topics like that?
Those are just things that come out. I think that for me personally, I have a variety of motifs that I write about and say I'm like, okay, I'm feeling some energy coming through, like I'm gonna sit down and write. I don't necessarily have a topic. It's like being a conduit for an energy. And so however it comes out, I kind of look after and I think, oh, here's this message again, or here's this topic that I touch upon a lot. And I think that a lot of it's funny because I was thinking, oh, I was kind of not really paying attention to COVID and this, like doing while I was creating, but there is sort of like an anxiety that is a cultural anxiety, I think, that we all have, that's like, are we going in the right direction? There's like, look at all these things that are not working, you know, all the topics, you know, climate, education, food system, medical, all the things. And so there's a lot of sort of like weight on me sometimes, thinking if I let my mind wander into everything that's going on in the world and the country, how could it be better? That kind of comes out, and then a lot of times it's rounded out in the end with, what can I do? Because I can't really do anything necessarily about a lot of these things, but I can be centered in myself and do the best I can and keep positive and like shine light for other people. And so I think a lot of the things that I write are almost like little messages of like, hey, if you want to think, maybe try to think in this way and alleviate some of those anxieties that we have about the current human condition.
Yeah.
That's like one strain of things, but maybe you want to say something.
No, I think you said it pretty good. For me, this album was really like a step in a different direction, and it gave me the chance to, like, on past things I've done, it's kind of more like comedic party, like trying to make you laugh style stuff, whereas this one's quite the opposite, and I really got a chance to like unpack some stuff and take a good deep dive inside my own brain and kind of go to places I've never really gone in music. So that was refreshing and interesting, and yeah, it was a good time. Good
times.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a spiritual or maybe just meditative process for both of you. So
Yeah.
how wonderful to have found that to also do together. That was definitely something that just stuck out to me that I definitely wanted to mention. So you just released this album. What are your plans now? Are you planning on performing some gigs around town? What is the future for this album?
I'm not necessarily actively seeking gigs, but we've been sort of just going with the flow. If someone asks, hey, you want to do this? We're like, yeah, sure. At this moment, again, because I haven't necessarily done this kind of thing where I'm singing and there's digital things going on, you know. So it's more like, for me, I thought of the album as an art piece, which can be performed, but also is like for the personal listener, like in their car or their house, doing art projects, whatever. And going forward, I want to create more albums, and this album has a consistent feel, but there are some songs that are maybe in this direction or more in that direction. So I would like to branch off and say, let's do like an album that has like this song's feel, like explore that, what's that? And so that would take, you know, different directions. And I think of it as creating art just for art's sake. I'm not necessarily, I just want to express and share and maybe, again, like I'm saying, alleviate some of these feelings that we have and give people hope and strength for living in the future and all that. So I don't necessarily, I'm going with the flow, really, for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on some new stuff, or kind of getting the building blocks together and everything. And to me, this album was kind of like the handshake of the relationship, like where we got to know each other and, hi, this is me, this is you. And so like moving forward now, we kind of have like a feel for each other. And like I would like to incorporate some live instrumentation and make it something that you could, you know, do a good live show with, you know. And like this album was kind of melancholy and dark, and it'd be cool to, you know, try a different direction for something that, you know, the next step. But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of figuring it all out too as we go. Yeah.
Super awesome. So in terms of what you're working on now, are you thinking too of kind of keeping it as something that, because I love your philosophy on, you know, sharing just for art's sake too. Are you thinking of keeping it kind of similar in nature in that respect?
What do you mean?
Well, I guess, yeah, that was kind of phrased a little like, I mean, you had said like you were thinking about putting some like live instrumentation into it. I guess my question would just be, would it be another album that is just kind of for the sake of creating and not necessarily performing it live, or potentially?
That's a very good question. I think we're asking ourselves the same thing. Like we're in that phase, but yeah, for me, I mean, I would love to move forward and move in a direction of, you know, I've actually been talking to some of my friends, bass player and horn player, and just trying to get them in the studio and see what kind of magic happens, you know.
Again, I'm just kind of going with the flow of it, and it's the next album could be. It's kind of like whatever we feel created to do at the time. So say we're going off into direction A, and then there's like direction B. If we get direction B done first, that will be the next album. If we get direction A done first, that's the next album. So I think just whatever feels inspiring, because really like inspiration is that essence of life that I think we could strive to feel, and then in turn feel happy about our existence.
Right. Well, it sounds great live here, so that's why I inquired. And with that being said, how about you play your third song for us?
All right. This one is Cora Borealis. And yeah, we'll just get right into it. Time like waves on a beach, it's the year of the virus, the age of the thief. Still the only time he gazed at defeat, he was shaking his head as it laid at his feet. His heartbeat plays on repeat as his thoughts tick-tock off the days into weeks. His thoughts stay vague and discreet, but the years on his face he displays to the streets. All the dandelions raise from their seats when he speaks, even ghosts start to hang up their sheets. He practiced what he patiently preached, as the decades pervade, he's a vein to a leech. Every moment just food for the feast, every molecule moves to the beat. He only ever keeps the truth in his teeth, 'cause the wisdom is worth all the youth it depletes.
If we are all magic, then what has become of love lost? It's tragic. Can fate come undone? Is there but one? An all-knowing sun, unending passion in every photon. when we'll wait for you. No promise in time. Indiscriminate thief, no stop, no rewind. When one is to leave, your soul to bereave. Forever we weave broken threads to achieve. I have found many other midnight. I have found time like thoughts fly away. It's the year of forgetting, the age of dismay. Still the only time she feigned a retreat, she was making amends, an abyss on repeat. Her heartbeat sings bittersweet, it's relentless devotion to that which it keeps. The waves stay the clock of the sea, the years disappear effortlessly. All the aspirations fade to the void, but the truth of the moment is never destroyed. She holds fate both forever to end. When the sun like black cloud, we implode and transcend. Every star seed here with a vision, every sorcerer's premonition. We only want to keep the notion alive that though we are leaving, we may never arrive. No when we'll wait for you. No promise in time. Indiscriminate thief, no stop, no rewind. When one is to leave, your soul to bereave. Forever will we broken threads to achieve. Some symphony brilliantly begging infinity and trusting divinity's willful epiphany. Silently imagery auspiciously come to me, mysterious alchemy graciously free. Some symphony brilliantly begging infinity and trusting divinity's willful epiphany. Silently imagery auspiciously come to me, mysterious alchemy graciously free.
Thank you. All right. So here's another question for you. So it's great to hear how both of you have, a bit of a different style and how those play off of each other in such a way that works. So I'm wondering, in terms of writing, you kind of said, whatever comes to you is sort of what, you go with the flow and you write that way. But for the particular, for a particular song, is it usually one of you that comes up with lyrics to begin that concept that you then send to the other person, or?
It's funny that you're asking. This particular song, Jesse had his verse, and he was saying, and then I kind of did some stuff and sent it back, and he was saying that it would be interesting if I would write my verse kind of in the format of his verse, and I took it really seriously. I wrote every beat was the same,
Yeah.
I counted all the beats.
Mirrored.
I even kind of mirrored the content in a way, but said it in my way. And so we were just talking about this earlier. It was like a way for me to have that structure and see kind of what respond to that structure. And it was laborious. I mean, it was like I would do half of it and I'm searching for words, and I like alliteration and rhyme and all that stuff. And then I'm also trying to fit into this grid of words and beats. And so then I'd come back to it. It took me like a week of trying, okay, this section. But a lot of times because I'm kind of more melodic, I'm responding to the music in that way. I don't know, it might have been about an even split of no, you kind of had stuff on a lot of the songs.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we probably both had our share of starting the tone or the melody or whatever.
And I remember scrapping a few things too after sending something to her, and she said something. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna take everything I did and take it right off, and you just go ahead, which seemed like the right move most of the time. But yeah, this one in particular, like what she was talking about with like almost like rewriting the verse is something I've always done with, like, it's fun to take one of your favorite verses and totally rewrite it in the same structure with, but trying to make it so it all is cohesive and makes sense and, twist it on its head. And she did, for doing it, like you said, it was the first time you've done something like that. I thought she did pretty amazing. I had the easy part. I got to write it first, and she had to
had to like,
come up with the
like
without
what is
using.
this 2 beats here? This one's
Well, it seems like you figured it out,
Yeah,
so that's all that
yeah.
matters, right?
Little things like that where it was just a lot of fun. Like little exercises and writing and yeah.
Right. So in terms of the whole like recording process, you obviously both sort of record certain bits and then send them back and forth to each other to create a final product. But what are your individual recording setups? What is that process like for both of you individually?
I've got like a little bedroom studio with a little recording booth that I kind of fashioned out of it, and yeah, I run through compressor and preamp, and I use a lot of filters and plugins to try to get a certain sound that I like. Meadow typically sends her stuff raw to me, and I get to play with it, but I usually don't do too much because it sounds great pretty naturally, but.
I just have like a desktop microphone that's a USB microphone, like a Yeti or whatever, and it goes right into the recording program. And I just had these crappy headphones, and I didn't have any real soundproofing. In fact, where I was living was in like a factory building, so above me was the daytime factory, and there was carts rolling back and forth. And trains going by, and just so many sounds.
Pain.
So many sounds, and I'd be like, okay, I don't think there's anything. All right, go. If I wanted to record during those hours. And then the nighttime was a little easier. But, so yeah, I was pretty rudimentary, and I actually had thought I was going to need to redo all the vocals at his place, but I did so many little layers and harmonies, and there would be like these magic moments and stuff, so... Once we found out that I didn't have to do that, we just kept my vocals as is in that way.
Yeah, so all of the production and mastering then you just do in-house.
Yeah, yep.
That's really awesome.
And like some of these beats, I reached out to different people. Like Jarv actually started that last one that we just played, and I would get like Jarv, Rico James, Skywise, or a couple of producers that would just send me like rudimentary skeletons of beats, and I really like taking things like that and like seeing where I can take them. And like my favorite parts of albums are like finishing the albums off and like weaving all the songs together and just adding all the little nuances. And so probably like 50% of the album is the production was started by other people, and then I got to take it and do what I wanted with it, kind of like I did with her vocals. So I was kind of getting things sent to me, and I got to play around and see what I could make out of it.
Right.
It's kind of it's a collage in that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Which
art
artwork,
process.
Yeah.
The artwork really, is a similar. Meadow did all the artwork for the booklet. There's like a 20-page lyric booklet, and it really, I don't know, they go hand in hand. Really, they go well together. The art and the music, they kind of mirror each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned too that you did some music videos as well. What was the process of coming up with the ideas for that? Because that's also a very artistic, visionary kind of project to undertake as well.
Oh, we actually haven't gotten to do any music videos for this project yet.
Those were
Yeah.
previous.
I've
yeah.
done some in the past and some different things.
We
but-
have been kind of jotting down little ideas when they come to us, like, you don't want to be too literal about the song. You want to kind of capture the vibe with the place, or have some obscure weird stuff, or how do you want to? It's a whole nother field that we're very interested in, but we haven't dove into that yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Would that be something that you would maybe do in the future?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd love to.
totally.
We actually were talking to a couple different people, one guy in particular, and we just haven't gotten to make everything click right yet. But yeah, we're super interested in it.
Yeah. So we don't have too much time left, but one question I love to ask is, if there was one message that listeners could get out of this recent release, what would you say it would be? Or you would hope it to be?
For me, I mean, like a lot of the themes where I went with it is just kind of like, the world's kind of a scary place, and it can get hard and tough out there, but you got to persevere. And it's, I don't know, like the Piranha Gone song, like that's really, like Piranha Gone to me was a word I made up just mashing words together. And it's like a piranha-sided object. It's like you're surrounded by teeth and scary things all the time, and you gotta keep the torch lit, and you gotta just keep moving forward and keep moving up, and it's all we're all trying to do, I think.
I would think we also deal with the time a lot, and I guess I would want a lot of things that I write about are in the, you can think this way and that one the other way, but really this moment right now is kind of all we have, and that's all we can control. And maybe we can't control it even, who knows, but just really focusing on making your moment a good, beautiful moment.
Yeah. So we also like to offer you both the opportunity to kind of promote yourself. Where can we find your music? What platforms are you on? Just advertise yourself.
I mean, Coyote Reverie, I think if you search that, you're probably only going to come up with us, I hope. But we got a couple lyric videos actually out for this album on YouTube. And we're on Instagram and Facebook.
We also are on Spotify and all the music platforms.
Yeah, it's up on everything.
You can stream, or you can purchase the album on Bandcamp. Or if you want to get a hold of us, we actually made physical CDs because of the booklet, and we'll mail you one also.
There you go. Real promoting. All right. Well, how about we play your last song tonight?
All right. This one's called Achilles Helix. And yeah, we'll just go ahead.
Which side of a coin would carry the burden, believing that love was undeniably certain, confined to the wake of divine, divided in darkness a sign, a signified love lines and knowers of thine, all sinners dowsing the fleeting fault line.
She's all daisies and basil and fragrance, the last perfect puzzle piece I'm placing adjacent. I gaze in her eyes with those hazel striations, surprised how she flies in the face of creation. Our lips grazing the entire skies, ionized. Our nets catch all the falling stars and fireflies. If she's the deep sea, then I'll be old Ironside. Steer me to the rocks, yeah, I need to hear the sirens' cries.
Lives alive, echoes refined, in a helix, a magnet, two snakes entwined. I could walk on water, I could walk on fire, I could walk on air, I couldn't get no higher. I could walk the earth until I'm old and tired, if that's what it takes to find her. I could walk on water, I could walk on fire, I could walk on air, I couldn't get no higher. I could walk the earth until I'm old and tired, as long as I can do it beside her. Cause I'm her shadow on the wall, I'm her echo down the hall, I'm the reflection in a lake, I'm every impression that she makes, I'm the voices in her head, snakeskin that she shed, I'm her footprints in the snow, I'll follow her anywhere she goes, even hell below, even hell below. Which promise would lead in despair the naive, who let their whole world be distilled to a dream, confined to the whim of desire, worthy the chance it requires, for never to have the fraction its prize would leave eternity empty inside.
She's all danger and brazen temptation, a strange purple haze made of paisley and patience, a vague violet veil masquerading what's vacant, a void hollow space where a heart used to hang in. He makes moves goes through the gloom and the grief like a thief, always doomed to pursue what retreats on repeat. So chase the gazelle, ain't no breaking the spell till the snake gets his tail in his beautiful teeth. Cause I could walk on water, I could walk on fire, I could walk on air, I couldn't get no higher. I could walk the earth until I'm old and tired, if that's what it takes to find her. I could walk on water, I could walk on fire, I could walk on air, I couldn't get no higher. I could walk the earth until I'm old and tired, as long as I can do it beside her. Cause I'm her shadow on the wall, I'm her echo down the hall, I'm the reflection on a lake, I'm every impression that she makes, I'm the voices in her head, I'm the snakeskin that she shed, I'm the footprints in the snow, I'll follow her anywhere she goes, even hell below, even hell.
All right, this has been Coyote Reverie on 105.9 FM The Radiator, and this concludes Rocket Shop Radio Hour. Meadow and Jesse, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
for
guys
having us.
so much for having us.
And as I said, this has been Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Abby BK. And next week, well, actually not next week, we're taking a bit of a break from Rocket Shop. We'll be back January 5th with Lily James. So stay tuned for that performance. It will be great. But this has been Abby BK on Rocket Shop. Good night.
Good night.
We're done. Okay, that was way more nerve-wracking than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like
I
playing
was
in
super
front
nervous.
of people. Like